Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric, our long-running series, the Unported Playlist, where I take a list of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. If you can't tell already, you did click the thumbnail after all. We're playing Final Furlong 2, which is basically a sequel to Final Furlong, also on the System 22.5 or Gorgon board. Now technically this jumps up to System 23, but they are so similar, it's kind of like they're running on the same hardware. And this was another arcade cabinet where you sat on a giant plastic horse, rocking back and forth to be able to control your speed, and even had a horse whipping button. It's one of those things back in the 90s, arcade developers are basically trying to make any unique experiences you couldn't play at home, and honestly you didn't have a big plastic horse in your living room, at least that's what I am assuming, but someone's always correcting me in the comments and saying I had a big plastic horse in my living room. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But this game, more so than the original, just has a lot more going for it, including steeplechase, where you have to push both whip buttons at the same time to get your horse to jump at the right cadence. And I screwed it up there, but I will get much better, much quicker at this. And honestly, it is just a more fully featured version of the original game, and it definitely has a lot better balance as far as the difficulty is concerned, because the original, trying to get first place, at least for me on emulation, seems to be a complete impossibility. But you'll see here, if you time the jumps up just right, you're going to go over those hedges. So basically this is a racing game where you actually have to rock back and forth on a big plastic horse if you actually want to accelerate. Think about it like Ridge Racer with horses. As opposed to putting your foot on the gas, you actually have to pretend you are a jockey riding a horse in a chase. And you'll see here, you have that carrot meter on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You basically have to just bring your horse along slow enough so that they don't run out of stamina, and then you have to actually just whip them until you get over the finish line. It's kind of like hanging out with your mom last night. I edged her all the way around the course until the very end when I brought her in for an extremely fun finish for her. All jokes aside though, I had to say that, it just made sense. You'll see here, if you do everything right, you'll just basically be out of speed at the end, and you'll be able to get a first place finish, and you will go to the winner's circle with your horse. Which in and of itself is a weird thing to say for something like an arcade game, horse racing on a track with a plastic horse, but that's what I loved about arcades back in the day. They just basically would create whatever the hell they felt like might work. Clearly somebody at Namco decided horse racing would be a fun time, so they just decided to make a game like this, and that is just so much fun. Now unfortunately most of these cabinets are very difficult to find these days, because think of how many times they broke. You have absolutely no idea the weight of the person who's going to be on the cabinet. You have no idea if kids are going to screw around and try to basically break the thing. It is one of the realities that these large amusement cabinets end up getting recycled all the time, because they broke, and then when they stopped making money for operators, they'd basically get taken off the arcade floor because repairing them was not worth it. And you'll see here again, it really is kind of a game of managing your resources, along with rocking, in this instance, the analog stick back and forth. You have those 5 carrots down below. If you run too fast, you run out of energy before the final sprint point, and you're going to basically just get fallen back to the back of the pack. If you run too slow, then you won't have enough speed at the end to actually overtake the leader. So you really want to kind of sit back in the middle of the pack, depending on what horse you pick, and kind of be conservative with your movements. But there's going to be a ton of different horses in the game. Some of them are sprinters that you have to finish the race strong with. Other ones are leaders that you have to manage your speed so you don't run out before the race is over. And others are basically just all-rounders that you can kind of have the race you want yourself. And that really is fun. There is a lot of depth in a game like Final Furlong 2. I know it seems simple, but honestly, the amount of mechanics, the amount of speed and energy management you have to put up with, you really do actually have to deal with this and think of all the different angles if you want to see a first place. Because you'll see here, I'm in second, but I've used basically half of my energy at this point in time. I have 2 carrots left, which means that if I take too much energy right now, I'm going to run out right before the finish line, and I'm basically going to not be able to win the race. And I really actually love that kind of interplay between how fast and how slow you need to go to be able to win, because now I'm dropping back, and now I hit the sprint point, so all I need to do is this energy, hold out until I get to the end. I'm in 4th place here, but I play it just well enough, and I have that sprint going just well enough that you're going to see I'm going to be able to overtake the horses here, and I am going to get another first place finish. But at soundtrack sample time, the audio is a little bit strange in this one, but listen for 45 seconds and I'll be right back and talk about the emulation quality in MAME. But enjoy. Now, honestly, I'm not sure what genre of music that would be, but I'm going to call it hee-haw techno. It's kind of like someone in Japan decided to marry techno music with what they thought somebody in the United States that wasn't into horse racing would listen to, with some hee-haw country vibes. Now, as far as the emulation quality is concerned, this is MAME, and it is running extremely well. I'm getting full speed. You might see a stray pixel here, a graphical glitch every once in a while, but for System 23 emulation, this is absolutely looking incredible. Now, it is one of those things that you have to bring a pretty high-test CPU to the party here if you actually want to be able to race along with the horses. If you bring a potato, it's probably going to sweat and cook itself under the intense requirements of emulating some of these more difficult 3D platforms for MAME. But you'll see here in this race, it's a situation where I should have gone a little bit faster around that last corner because I am trying to hit top speed, and I do, but other horses are going to be able to basically come up behind me because they had a little bit better burst of speed. So you really have to figure out what horse you want to bring to what track and how you want to race them, because that really is the name of the game here, and that actually gives you a lot of depth. It is surprising. A game that feels like it would be so simple can actually be really challenging, and I'd love to see some people do some really high level play here, because in a lot of ways, even though this is a racing game, it kind of feels like a rhythm game because you have to rock back and forth. You have to flick your analog stick up and down in the right cadence. If you go too fast or too slow, the horse isn't going to like it, and in that instance, neither is your mother. I'm sorry, but horse racing is going to bring out the jokes in me today. But to get the proper speed where your horse is racing and actually gaining ground, but not going so fast that they're actually running out of stamina, does take a lot of practice, and you don't want to bump into these other riders here. Just like in any other arcade racing game, you're going to lose position or speed if you do that. You'll see here that I come around the corner and I start that maximum speed a little bit earlier, but I am getting really close to running out of energy as well. So this is really the gamble you need to make. Do you think you're going to bring enough energy around? But with this horse not being a great sprinter, you're going to see I get so close to first place, but again, I just hit that second place finish. So maybe this horse and I just really aren't playing well together in the overall speed that they bring into this corner. But the nice thing about Final Furlong 2 is, well, compared to the original game, you're going to get more courses, you're going to get more race types, you're going to get short, medium, and long tracks, as well as the steeplechase, so it really does have a ton of content. And if you know where there is an arcade cabinet for this, leave me a comment down below, because it's one of those things. I've never actually played Final Furlong 2 in an arcade. I've only ever played it on MAME. Of course I know it exists, and it's one of those things. If I could find an original arcade PCB for it, I might actually buy it and bring it into my house, because I'm pretty sure that rocking mechanic, just being analog values, is something that I could probably hook up to some child's toy and rock back and forth in my living room for a joke video. So if you know where it is a Final Furlong 2 cabinet out there, or at least a PCB, leave me a comment down below, and maybe I'll buy it and do some ridiculous modification where I just basically sit on a wooden horse and rock back and forth. We're going to do one more soundtrack sample because, again, the music in this game, it's really good and absolutely hilarious at the same time. So 45 seconds, I'll be right back. We'll close out the video. I mean, it's just fun music. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it works in the context of the game. And just imagine people back in the 90s sitting around arcades playing this thing, jumping on a big plastic horse, grabbing the reins, and being able to just kind of rock back and forth to pretend they're racing in a horse. And with the whip buttons, honestly, it's about as close to real horse riding as you could get, although I would not know. I've never ridden a horse in real life. I know that sounds like an insane comment, but there's something about them. I just don't trust them. I feel like they'd immediately not want me on their back, and they just throw me off completely. And honestly, just not a thing for me. But if you've ever ridden a horse before, you tell me. Final Furlong, accurate or not, but I'm guessing obviously not very accurate whatsoever. But this is just my favorite generation of arcade games when developers are making fun experiences just because they could. So definitely check out Final Furlong 2 today if you got a high enough test PC to be able to run it in MAME. And just like hanging out with your mom, every time you have a ride, it is going to be a good ride. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.